Everyone hates water levels, and ice levels get a pretty comparable amount of scorn. But if there's one level trope that I really don't care for, it's desert levels. Visually, they're pretty boring, just sand, heat stroke, and more sand. They usually don't have a lot of fun or interesting level gimmicks, and these levels don't tend to be all that memorable. I mean, if you're a fan of tan, khaki, and brown, then maybe you'll get a kick out of these desert levels, but otherwise, But who knows, maybe if we go through some desert levels, we'll find some diamonds in the rough. The Mario series is pretty well known for its desert levels. You've got World 2 in Super Mario Bros. 2, World 2 in Super Mario Bros. 3, World 2 in New Super Mario Bros., World 2 in New Super Mario Bros. Wii, World 2 in New Super Mario Bros. 2, World 2 in New Super Mario Bros. U. Are you noticing a pattern here? Honestly, it's probably because of the Mario series that I garnered so much apathy for desert levels. I can never fully enjoy myself whenever I start World 1 of a 2D Mario game, because like Thanos, I know that bland land of tan sand is inevitable. It's especially disappointing in New Super Mario Bros. U because World 2 is called Layer Cake Desert, and the world map has frosting on the ground and melted ice cream cones everywhere. It's a cool little play on words since desert and dessert sound so similar, and the blend of dry, barren ruins of sand with sweet and tasty treats is a cool mix. Yet, despite this cool concept, none of the levels in World 2 actually use this theme. The desert levels are just regular desert levels with no Twinkies or cupcakes in sight. Now, there are some cool desert levels in Mario if we move to the 3D stuff, like Shy Guy Bazaar from Mario Kart 7. This is a cool shopping district in the desert with ornate carpets, cool lights that hang over the roads, and a nighttime setting that just adds a little bit of extra flavor to the whole thing. This level gets brought back in Mario Kart Tour, but I prefer the original 3DS version as the 3DS version has better lighting. Everything just looks way more colorful in this version compared to the Tour version, which just looks kind of bland. Another Mario desert level that I'm a fan of is the Sand Kingdom from Super Mario Odyssey. There's a cool village called Tostarena Town that takes influence from Mexican culture. Most notably the villagers living there, the Tostarenans, that are pretty noticeably inspired by the candy sugar skulls given out on El Dia de los Muertos, aka the Day of the Dead, a holiday celebrated at the start of November in Mexico. Another cool thing about the Sand Kingdom is that there's actually a nighttime version of this level, and like deserts in real life, it gets really cold here. The place is partially frozen over and the underground ruins are basically an ice level. This goes to show that with a little creativity, you can have a unique desert level. Which is not the case for Sandopolis, the third zone in Sonic & Knuckles. This level is like the starter pack for everything I despise about desert levels. And even the unique gimmicks make it a chore to go through, like these slow-moving platforms, this slow-moving sand current thing, this slow-moving boss that admittedly you kill in a pretty memorable way. But if you thought all of that was bad, that was only the stuff that I don't like in the first act of Sandopolis. We've got a whole other stage to go through. Act 2 of Sandopolis is where most of the Sandopolis hate comes from. Pushing these switches, having to pull these lever things to turn the lights on so the ghost won't hurt you, and the fact that the stage is so long. I think the section where the sand rises and you have to avoid being crushed is pretty cool, but besides that, there is next to nothing I enjoy about Sandopolis Act 2. When I was first going back and looking at desert stages in Sonic games, I did not realize how many desert levels are in one particular game, Sonic Adventure 2. Wild Canyon, Pyramid Cave, Hidden Base, Death Chamber, Sand Ocean, Headquarters, and that's not even counting the boss levels. At the very least, the music for all of these stages is good at worst and fantastic at best. Headquarters is a smooth as butter jazz track. Pyramid Cave is a perfect rock out track, and come on, have you ever seen a Mike Hogg spit like a menace? Speaking of good desert level Sonic music, Shamar from Sonic Unleashed has some banger tracks. The level songs are really good, but honestly, my favorite track from this area might be the Hub World song at daytime. Do not sit here and lie to me and tell me that you just don't want to start breaking out a couple dance moves after listening to that. Overall though, I think my favorite desert stage in Sonic game history has to be Mirage Saloon from Sonic Mania. Not only is the music a jam, but it's actually a great level too. It's levels like this that make me wish we got a Sonic Mania 2 with completely brand new levels instead of a mashup of old and new stuff. Mirage Saloon is a desert level, but instead of doing the standard pyramids and ruins thing, Mirage Saloon has an 1800s American Wild West theme. There's bars, pianos, wanted posters, and even rail cars. A portion of the first act of Sonic and Tails' route even takes place on a train run by Eggman. The Sonic series loves desert levels so much that they based an entire game around desert levels, Sonic and the Secret Rings. The Sonic series loves desert levels so much that they took the most iconic stage in Sonic history, Green Hill Zone, and turned it into a desert stage in Sonic Forces. Another stage that strangely turned into a desert stage is Mushroomy Kingdom from Super Smash Bros. Brawl, which reappeared in Smash for 3DS and Smash Ultimate. This stage is clearly based on World 1-1, the first level of Super Mario Bros., but for some reason, instead of being a greener, brighter, and more lush environment, as it's usually presented in remakes and reimaginings like Super Mario All-Stars, this version is empty, sandy, and deserted. On the Smash Bros. Dojo website for Super Smash Bros. Brawl, it said that this is supposed to be the abandoned ruins of the Mushroom Kingdom. Dang, I know Brawl was like the dark, edgy Smash Bros. Game, but man, this is actually getting a little depressing. Let's move on to another Smash Bros. Stage, Gerudo Valley from Smash for 3DS, another stage that appeared in Smash Ultimate. This is a relatively simple stage with a breakable bridge in the middle, which reminds me of another Zelda stage in Smash, the Bridge of Eldin. Gerudo Valley has some stage hazards to spice things up, but all in all, I wouldn't call it one of the more memorable stages. However, the stage's first appearance in Zelda Ocarina of Time is a whole lot more remarkable. Gerudo Valley is one of the more interesting locations in Zelda Ocarina of Time, as it leads to the fortress of the Gerudo people, a race of warrior women known for their thievery. They aren't exactly welcoming to outsiders, so you'll need to be stealthy if you want to explore this area. A couple of carpenters tried to join the Gerudo people, but it didn't go over too well, so you'll need to find and rescue the captive carpenters, battling armed guards along the way. By defeating them, you gain the trust of the Gerudo people, allowing you to go to the Spirit Temple, which I'm pretty sure most people can agree is one of the best dungeons in the game. I think this dungeon is really cool, as to beat it you have to make use of both young and adult Link, which fits the whole idea of the game, that being time. It has great music, and it easily has my favorite warp song of the game, Requiem of Spirit. And I definitely can't go without mentioning the great music of Gerudo Valley itself. There's a lot to love about Gerudo Valley and the whole Gerudo arc of Ocarina of Time, so in terms of desert levels, I'd say it's pretty good. My main issue with it is that, like most desert levels, it isn't visually too interesting, but it does have really good atmosphere, and I've always thought that the Gerudos were cool. The Mega Man series has a few desert levels like Pharaoh Man stage from Mega Man 4. I believe this is the first desert Robot Master level in the series, so it makes sense that this is a pretty straightforward desert level. Commando Man stage from Mega Man 10 shakes things up a bit with a powerful sandstorm that can move Mega Man, making for some tricky platforming. Mega Man 6 is quite the ambassador of the desert level because it has two of them, Flame Man stage and Tomahawk Man stage. Flame Man stage is a combination of a desert and an oil well. There are even enemies in the game that can light the oil, creating fire that can hurt you. One of my main issues with desert levels is how visually boring these levels can be, but Flame Man stage actually has a nice color palette with a cooler purple and blue background, which contrasts nicely with the warm orange color of the sand in the foreground. As you get deeper into the stage, the background gets less interesting, the stage eventually becomes a pretty simple cavern too, but I do like the progress from cooler colors to harsher, redder colors, which fits since, this is Flame Man stage. And since oil that can catch fire is more prevalent here, you're both visually and physically getting out of the frying pan and into the fire. The second desert level is Tomahawk Man stage, which starts off with cacti in the background and cowboy robots giving off a Wild West theme like Mirage Saloon. As you go deeper into the stage, it too becomes more like a cavern, but only for a short while, because before long, you're back above ground, and you can see that time has actually passed. When you first started the stage, it was in the middle of the day, but now the sun is setting, providing a really nice purplish pink background. They even try to replicate the heat distortion effect with the sun. It doesn't look amazing since this is an NES game, but I do gotta give them their props for trying. Another series that loves its desert levels is Kingdom Hearts. One of the most recurring Disney worlds in the series is Agrabah from the 1992 animated film Aladdin. A significant part of the Agrabah world is the compact town area, which has some pretty cool architecture, and due to the tight spacing on the ground, the level design is very vertically focused, with tons of ledges and rooftops you can jump on and explore. The second half of the world takes place in the Cave of Wonders. The higher areas in the cave are well lit, while the lower areas are darker, making use of cooler colors. The most striking part of this area is that at the end of the level, you leave by flying out of it on a magic carpet. Agrabah isn't anything extraordinary, it hits a lot of the same beats you'd expect in a classic desert level, but it hits those beats well. When Agrabah returns in Kingdom Hearts 2, it's a whole lot more open and empty due to Kingdom Hearts 2's increased focus on high-flying action, which I think makes Agrabah lose some of its character. There are a lot of desert levels out there. Obviously, I didn't cover every single notable one out there, but I managed to get through a few of them today. There were a handful of pretty cool ones mixed in there, so it's not impossible to make a good desert level. I guess a boring desert level is more offensive than a boring grassland level or a boring beach level, just because deserts are naturally so dry and bland, so it's like double the boringness. You definitely have to try a little harder to make an interesting desert area. In any case, hopefully you guys enjoyed this little look at desert levels, and I'll see you guys next time.